Parents of Reddit, what did you find in your kid's room that you put back and never discussed with them? We had to move our kid out of a bad living situation. She wasn't in any condition to help. So wife and I go in and just start grabbing her stuff. We come across her adult baby fetish gear. Like 2 duffel bags of it, giant onesies, binkies, diapers etc. Wife looked at me, I looked at her, we shut each bag and have never spoken of it again. When my late husband was 21, and we'd been dating for a year, he had an MRI for something concerning, and then went back to work, leaving his worried about his MRI mom from up north, who was just there for his medical stuff, in his apartment alone with nothing to do. So she cleaned. A lot. When he came home his normally messy room was spotless. His bed was freshly made with the Bible he'd gotten at his church confirmation atop the pillow, and on top of that, a condom wrapper that must have made its way under the bed in our haste. In his closet, his once hidden Playboy cheerleader's VHS tape was now quite prominently displayed on a shelf. She never said a word to him about anything. She shot dagger eyes at me next time she saw me though. I'm the kid, but once my girlfriend accidentally left her undies under my bed. Every so often when I'm away for an amount of time my mum will clean up my room and do some washing. When I got back one time, I found her undies washed with mine and left for me to put away in my room. She's never mentioned it to me. My son is a very talented artist. While cleaning his room, we found a drawing that he'd done as sort of a 3-part comic strip. First panel, there was a pretty girl wearing bib overalls, the kind with the straps over the shoulder. Second panel, one of the strap buttons popped loose and the strap was flying back over her shoulder as the overalls started to fold down. Third panel, the girl, breast exposed, had a perfect look of surprised embarrassment on her face. The reason we didn't say anything was because he was a pretty shy 11-year-old and we didn't want him to stop drawing by embarrassing him. I regret not taking a picture of it, though, because it was really impressive artwork for a kid. When I was 10 my brother was 12 we were staying the weekend at our grandpa's house way out in the country. I found a cock ring in the bathroom and being 10 I obviously had no clue what it was so I showed it to my brother. He told me what it was and we ran outside in the middle of the night and chucked it into the woods because we panicked. Thankfully Grandpa never asked about his missing cock ring. Condoms. Never ever take the condoms. An entire nightstand drawer full of used feminine hygiene products. I wanted to ask why, but I felt like any conceivable answer would just beckon more questions. One day I decided to tackle the disaster that was my 9-year-old son's bedroom. It was impressive, how much crap he had on his floor, and as a one-time 9-year-old boy myself I had to give him props. Then I found, tucked away in his bookshelf a Ziploc bag filled with plastic sporks, an entire school year's worth from the cafeteria. There were hundreds of them, all packed into this gallon-sized bag. I stared at them for a long time, put them back where I found them and decided he should clean his own room more often. I must confess, I talked to him a couple weeks later, after finding one in his coat pocket. I told him it probably wasn't sanitary to have laying around. I let my gaze linger on him for an extra second and his expression changed. Well, I guess I need a new hobby, he said. I bought him a rock collection starter kit the next day. Not a parent but my dad moved to a new apartment after I shipped to boot camp. When I got back home on boot leave he was showing me around his new apartment and he just casually mentioned, "Your pocket pussy is in that drawer by the way." A pair of SpongeBob boxer shorts with the ass cheeks cut out, to make them into a thong. I was laying peel and stick tiles in our bathroom, and found a couple of mild nudie mags hidden under the big package of TP. At about that time, youngest son came home and was a bit panicked, but never said anything at the time. I made sure to place the magazines back when I was done tiling. I showed them to my wife, and joked that I should have substituted granny gang bangs, or similar. I still regret not doing it. A stash of over 700 mustard packets. I was the findy. I figured it out because the cover wasn't placed back correctly. Yes, mustard packets. Yes, 700 plus. Yes, the collection did grow after this. Was looking for my vibrator that mysteriously disappeared from my drawer. Looked in the teenager's room. Not there. Went to my 5-year-old's room and there it was sitting on top of his dresser, in all its glory. I was too scared to ask anyone how my lightsaber got there, so just took it back and hid it in my room. I was around 14 and ordered a book online about sex back when they just sent you anything if you promised you were over 18 and would pay for it later. 1996 IIRC. This was no regular book. It was nearly 500 pages, a leather-bound holy grail of sex. My father or mother found it one day under my bed and I thought I would be in so much trouble, but they never said anything. A few weeks later, I go looking for it and under their bed, I find my book, a printed-out copy of the Anarchist Cookbook, and a VHS of heavy metal. I took it all and nothing has even been said about it to this day. One of them found the VHS, and I am pretty sure it was my mom, thinking it was mine, due to the looks of disappointment shortly thereafter I was getting. Not the parent, but my sister found a stack of really hateful, bitter, "Why don't you love me?" letters her daughter had written to her absent father when she was 7 or 8. They were devastating. My sister never mentioned the letters, but she did sit her down and talk to her about stuff with her dad, and I think that helped. Not a parent, but found a note in my brother's room talking about killing my cat. Note, he never has. In high school my mom decided to clean my room as a nice gesture. She found my vibrator under my pillow. I got a text, "Guess you're too old for me to surprise with cleaning your room." When I was 9-ish my mom got me a light-up handheld back massager. I was obsessed with it. It looked like something space-age and did wonders on my neck and back. My older teenage sister stole it from my room one day and I noticed it on her nightstand. She wouldn't give it back and I told my mom she stole it, but mom just said, "Just let her have it." 20 years later and I finally understand. A whole lot of pornographic art and draft lyrics. None o' my business. My grandma found a dildo I didn't like, brought it upstairs to show my mom and laugh, and then suggested she regift it to me in front of my whole family on Christmas morning. My grandma is savage AF and I'm lucky to have a sliver of her humor. I'm not the parent, but I know someone that went into their son's 17th room and stumbled across a ball gag, handcuffs, spiked collar with leash, and riding crop. He did have a GF at the time. The parent never mentioned it to either of them. One single can of a fruity alcohol drink. I left it. Not a parent, but I'm pretty sure my dad found my first bong and never mentioned it. One day it was just missing and I was so scared that I left it in an obvious spot after smoking and I'd get in trouble. It's been like 10 years since that and I'm still to this day curious what happened. Lol. I wasn't snooping, I was helping him organize all his collections of stuff when he was in high school. I came across an old metal cookie tin filled with paper scraps. He'd apparently torn off every "good job" and "nice work" comment he's ever gotten from his teachers, as well as all of the happy birthday and love yous from all his cards. I realized how important those tangible affirmations are to him, so I've made it a point over the last 15+ years to write things down in addition to telling him. He's got pretty severe anxiety, depression, and PTSD, and I'd like to think that if I'm not with him, one of those little pieces of paper might help him get through whatever he's dealing with. Not a parent, but I found a pocket pussy in my nephew's bedroom. I'm about to be 17, and seeing this now has me worried what they've found over the years. Not a parent, when I was in high school I needed an empty shoebox for a school project. I went into my parents' closet in search of one and see a Nike shoebox up on the shelf, only it wasn't empty. It had like an ounce of weed in it. At the time, I was so shocked and kind of freaked out. I never said anything about it, but a few months later I got high for the first time on their supply. I hit up the shoebox a couple of times after that, but it was pretty quickly relocated. I'm the child in this story. I was about 10 or 11 and feeling really guilty for being a horrible person, silly kid stuff. I don't remember exactly what, maybe it was as simple as not saying I love you enough. I felt I had to atone somehow, so I started writing, "I love you Dad, love you Mum, love you sister 1, love you sister 2, and did it over and over almost like the lines you'd get as punishment in school. I did a full page and then completely forgot about them. My room was very messy and my parents didn't enforce me to clean it, silly of them. In my defense, I most likely have undiagnosed ADHD, but that's besides the point. What is the point is that it may have been months later or even years later, but I found that piece of paper again and I was cringing for having written it. But at the bottom in my dad's handwriting was one final line, "We love you too." Not a parent, but I was roommates with my older brother. Sometimes when he would bring a girl to the apartment, he would ask me to clean up a bit his room. So this one day he asks and I go in. I just do the bed and sweep really quick, so I'm sweeping and under the bed I found an used condom. I just pushed the condom back under the bed, with the broom and left the room. Needless to say, next time he asked I'd just do the bed, trying not to touch anything. My best friend and I would wait until my parents left to turn the house upside down looking for change to go to McDonald's. We called ourselves the Dollar Menu Millionaires. Well, you can guess that we went into my parents' drawers and jewelry boxes and to our horror discovered very explicit spread eagle Polaroids my dad must have took of my stepmom. I can still see them now. We no longer went in their room for change. Didn't say a word. Could never look at her the same. My aunt found a razor on my male cousin's table, but nothing on his visible body. Seems like he shaved. Don't have to be smart to know where he uses that razor instead. He said they never talked about it. It had been around a month now. A framed picture of Baby Yoda. He is 6. I once drew crying eyes, modeled after my own eyes, because we just learned how to draw eyes in school. My mom took photos of it and posted it on Facebook while I was in school. Not a parent, and not a bedroom, but my parents and I keep finding my brother's pocket pussy on the edge of the tub because the moron keeps forgetting to bring it back to his room. Every time I see it I turn around and walk out. Someone else can deal with that. However, to my horror, my parents have both on separate occasions picked it up with their bare hands to bring it back to his room, and I saw my mom squishing it with disgust in her eyes one time. I'm pretty sure no one has had the heart to talk to my brother about it though. I kept my stash of goods in the insulation behind the attic door. My sister told me my mom found it, so I checked it and the condoms were spread across the ground inside and the insulation peeled back. I freaked out. I also had a quarter lb of weed in the insulation, but she was apparently so upset over the condoms she pulled the insulation down and left. Lucky break, I suppose. That was a long time ago. Don't sell drugs, kids, lol. Not a parent, but once I had a big sleepover with like 10 friends and one friend was really good at drawing terrifyingly realistic penises, like she really had the art of penis drawing down. So while everyone slept she covered my room in penis drawings and hid them in places. So in the afternoon the next day my mom was helping put away the sleeping bags, and out of one sleeping bag came out all the penis drawings that I had found in my room and stashed in the sleeping bag. I was planning on ambushing the friend with them at school. My mom said nothing, made sure the bag was empty, and then just rolled it up, not saying anything, not even looking at them. I didn't say anything either. The memory haunts me. This is the complete opposite, but I was looking in my parents' room for something. I honestly don't even remember what it was, and I found a drawer with nudie mags and a prostate massager. I mean, obviously my parents do it, but I never thought my dad was the type to have a... Well, anyways,